得为了男女公平起见，应该禁止亲子鉴定。你看男方他想验证女方生的孩子是不是自己的，他可以验这几个孩子，就可以了嘛，就很容易的能够得到这几个孩子是不是他的孩子。但是女生呢，要想知道男方是不是有私生子，却没有办法，他总不能拿着男生的头发全国各地去做亲子鉴定吧？只要是跟你在婚内生的孩子，无论是基因谁的孩子，都是属于你的孩子。国外都是禁止做亲子鉴定的，咱们也应该效仿一下。
这回可真的出大事了啊！那有专家就建议了。
This time, this is really a big deal. Experts have already suggested that this paternity test should be forcibly included in the newborn's checkup program. What does that mean? It means that after your child is born, as long as you want to register the child in the official family record, in this step, it must require a paternity test. If this policy of forcibly adding a paternity test into the newborn's checkup program can truly be implemented and enforced, then some netizens say that it could actually solve 3 major problems. First, it is the situation where babies are accidentally swapped after birth at the hospital. Although this rarely happens in hospitals nowadays, it does not mean it will never happen. Second, it can greatly help prevent child trafficking. That is to say, if those traffickers want to register a child into the official family record, then after this policy is implemented, they must do a paternity test. Only when the paternity test result comes out will you know whether the child is actually yours. If the paternity test shows the child is not yours, then the child cannot be registered into the official family record, and if that happens, then it is very likely that you will also be questioned by the police about the child's detailed and specific situation. Third, it can directly prevent some male compatriots from becoming big suckers who were cheated on by their wives, raising someone else's child without even knowing it. In today's society, you will find that raising someone else's child really does happen, and it still happens from time to time. There was not a piece of news before. A man only found out after many years that several children were not his biological children. And the news caused a huge uproar. That is, the woman gave birth to several children and not a single one was her husband's. I wonder what everyone thinks about this suggestion of forcing everyone to do a paternity test after a child is born. Is this good for ordinary people, or is it not good? Will anyone disagree with it and hold opposing opinions?
然后也理所应当的收到了很多小仙女的问候。
Is the expert suggestion that paternity tests should be forcibly included in the newborn's checkup program reasonable, or not? Yesterday, I said I firmly support it. But afterward, I received a lot of insults from many little fairies. Many people in the comments also do not agree with this approach. Let us first take a look at what this netizen said. He believes that this policy has more harm than benefit. Although I am a man, he even emphasized that he is a man, and of course he wants paternity tests, but have you thought about it? The child is innocent. Is the honest man not innocent then? If he raises someone else's child, then he is not innocent? This netizen also said because the child is not biological. 9 out of 10 parents will divorce. The child will be born without a father. Not only will the child suffer, but the mother alone also cannot afford to raise the child. The child's future life will be miserable. This netizen believes that the mother is the victim. But I want to say you cannot just randomly assign a father because the child has no father, right? There is a cause and there is a consequence. Whoever's child it is, that person should raise the child. How can you say there is no father? I do not believe this child grows naturally, with only a mother and no father. I just want to say, you have such a big mindset. If you did not say you are a man, I would have thought you are a woman. If a woman cannot afford to raise a child by herself, then she should not give birth. Then whoever she had the child with, she should go find that person to take responsibility. If she went out and indulged herself and cannot find the responsible person afterward, then who is she blaming? And she still wants to keep one eye open and one eye closed. And if you really are a man, then I wish your dream comes true. Some people also say the cost of doing a paternity test is too high. That I tell you, almost all men are willing to spend this money, and no matter whether it is biological or not, I believe that if it is popularized, everyone will be willing to pay this money, and it can even increase the hospital's income, right? A win-win situation. Who would not want that? The only people who do not want it are what kind of people? I do not even want to say it. Everyone understands. There is also a woman, she messaged me privately, and she said whether it is biological or not is really not important. Some people live their whole lives muddle-headed and no one ever knows. As long as the child acknowledges you, that is enough. What is the point of you posting this video? I only want to say one thing. If it does not matter whose child it is, then why do you not go raise someone else's child and live your whole life muddle-headed? Maybe halfway through, after raising the child for 16 years, you find out that 3 children are not even yours. Then what should you do? How heartbreaking would that be? Have you thought about it? I really did not know there are so many people with twisted values. They still have the nerve to come here and identify themselves. Are you afraid people will not know that you are getting anxious after seeing this policy that is about to be implemented?
我再说一个很严肃的问题啊，好多孩子生出来长得都不像他爹，人家说去做个亲子鉴定，你侮辱我，你不相信我，哎，为什么？来，你不怕你去做嘛？那你愿不愿意做？啊？你有生个孩子长得不像他爹，
男的女的都做。
他怀疑，我说亲子鉴定。做，不要口嗨啊！你真的，我希望你说到做到。
本来就是姐姐的。
你不要说人家怀疑你啊，人家怀疑说明这个孩子长得不像他。
那就不能长得像我。
你说两个人
长得像你，肯定长得像你。
什么叫 DNA 啊？对不对？70%是遗传父亲的。
我敢做啊，但是我觉得太离谱了，就是连个那个什么。
一个男的如果说觉得孩子都长得不像他了，他连做的这个很要求过分吗？
不过分呀。
那做了啊，那就去做呗。
那个结婚那个之前也要做那个婚后的。
做完以后，如果真的是这个男的啊，他怀疑错了，那他真打真骂嘛，他也不会坑你生的嘛，是不是？哎，你那个时候你说要补偿。你说，哎呀，你说你要补偿我没问题，一个包包就一个包包，两个包包就两个包包。哎，毕竟孩子是自己的了。哎，他总是说我安心了，我买2个包包我也值得，
安心了，
是不是啊？
肯定跟谁？
有人说亲子鉴定不公平，是对女性的侮辱。
Some people say paternity tests are unfair and that they insult women. This is purely a moral kidnapping through a bait-and-switch concept, so a man being kept in the dark and raising someone else's child does not count as humiliation. A paternity test has never been a tool for gender confrontation. It is a mirror that exposes lies and defends the truth. Whoever has something to hide and makes reckless accusations, it will slap that person's face. Is this logic really that hard to understand? Women naturally have maternal certainty, but what about men? Why can men not use scientific means to seek a clear answer? And besides, a paternity test is obviously also protecting a woman's innocence. In Hunan, a husband went away to work for half a year and did not come home. His wife became pregnant with twins, and he concluded she cheated and insisted on drawing amniotic fluid for a test, but the result proved the children were his. Is that not a hard slap in the face to the suspicious husband? If there were no such test report, this wife might have carried an undeserved stigma for a lifetime, enduring cold violence or even domestic violence. Then look at it the other way. Some tests hide truths that cannot see the light of day. The She May Wan incident in 1994, she gave birth during the time her husband went abroad for further study. Back then there was no paternity testing technology, and it made the ex-husband carry the stigma of abandoning his wife and child for 30 years. Until the test report came out, it was confirmed that the child had no blood relation to the ex-husband, and the entry-exit records further proved that at the time of conception, the two had not even met. If there were no paternity test, that ex-husband would probably have been wronged for a lifetime. Among these cases, which one is insulting women? They are clearly exposing human selfishness and betrayal. Truly innocent people are never afraid of the test of a paternity test. Only those with guilt will treat a scientific test as a monstrous threat and then use insulting women as a shield. A paternity test is absolutely not the murderer that destroys families. It is a tool of justice that backs up the wronged and proves the innocent. It leaves betrayers with nowhere to hide, and it also helps the deceived stop their losses in time, so that the wronged can clear their names. Such a great invention, why should it be stigmatized? The foundation of marriage is loyalty and honesty. If you do not even have that confidence, then you might as well admit it sooner. You are not afraid of being insulted, you are afraid of your lies being exposed.
照这样下去，谁还敢结婚呢？这也太可怕了。
If this continues, who would still dare to get married? This is too terrifying. A staff member at a testing center said that among 487 paternity test reports from last week, among 87 blood samples, 33 were not biological. Among 69 hair samples, 30 were not biological. Among 56 fingernail samples, 20 were not biological. Among 57 pairs of cigarette butts, 26 were not biological among them. 141 were judicial identifications done online, and 11 were not biological. Among these 11 couples, 8 tore their faces apart on the spot. The others may have already expected the result, they said. Nothing, and just took the report and left. My God, hearing these numbers, I was truly shocked. It is really so outrageous. The main point is this is 1 week's data. What about a whole year? It is really unimaginable. These male compatriots really are not easy earning money to support the family, buying a car, buying a house, paying several 100,000 yuan in bride price, and in the end raising someone else's child. Anyone would not be able to take that. No wonder so many people now say bluntly that when looking for a partner they have basically no requirements anymore. As long as the child is biological, that is enough. How heartbreaking and helpless that sounds. If you ask me, when you meet someone unreliable, let go early. Do not be a simp. Some people get cheated on several times during dating and still cannot let the other person go. Then tell me, after getting married, would it ever be good? Seriously, a real man, why worry about not finding a wife? Stand up straight, and when you meet someone unreliable, cut it off quickly.
跟我男朋友在一起都6年了，我现在都怀孕了。他想的居然不是跟我结婚，而是去做什么亲子鉴定，他太不尊重我了。
你为什么会这么反感呢？但如果这个孩子确实是你男朋友的，那对你是百利而无一害呀。如果鉴定结果确定是他的，他肯定会想尽办法哄你啊。你要什么他不都得满足你吗？而且你们俩的感情也更坚固呀。结婚这个事儿不就是说解就解吗？
但是不论孩子是不是他的，只要我去做亲子鉴定，那相当于我的名声就已经坏了呀，多丢人呢。
那你既然能说出这种话，那孩子是不是他的？我相信你心里面更清楚。你是害怕测出来不是他的，名声毁了吧？为啥你俩都6年感情了，人家还非拉着你做亲子鉴定？你心里面没点数吗？
Why can many women not accept paternity tests at a paternity testing center? You can see all kinds of human realities. Whenever a woman swears oaths, gets emotionally agitated, and yells, over 80% of the time the child is not biological. Whenever a woman says nothing and stays calm and composed, over 80% of the time the child is definitely biological. A director at the testing center said that those who shout and make a scene are actually covering up their inner panic, trying to muddle through. And along the way, they threaten with all kinds of things like divorce, like leaving with nothing. Even at this point, they are still struggling. And those women who already know the result are instead very calm. And they also gain one more bargaining chip to control the man. They're already thinking about what comes next, so they are usually very calm on the scene.